Hi everyone. So today I will talk to you about energy siphoning. I know a lot of us don't know about this or don't talk about it, but it really is the supply, the supply that narcissists get from you, your good energy, your positivity, your happiness, your energetic labor, right? Emotional labor. And I will talk to you about how, narcissists or people who don't have their own and who need something from you, right? It may not be even bad people, or it may not necessarily be narcissists, but there are people who will siphon your energy in relationships, in interactions, when you go out to the store, when you're at a place and somebody's starting to flirt with you, for example. But women too, right? It's not gender specific, but people will siphon energy from others. So, siphoning is basically drawing life force from one person to gain an ego boost, to feel good, to feel energetic, to feel just to change up your energy. People will siphon, energy from other people. And then the person who gives their energy, they feel depleted, used, um, right? So energy siphoning typically manifests in relationships or interactions where there's weak boundaries or there's uneven exchange. So one person is doing a lot of emotional labor and the other person knows how to manipulate to get the energy from the the source. Let's call one person the source and the other one the taker, right? For the purposes of this live, let's talk about that. So if you have any questions as they come up, just pop them in the chat and I'd be happy to answer questions on energy siphoning. How do people extract and use you as a supply to feel good about themselves? And how do people siphon other people's energy? What are some of the ways? So, in this live, I will talk to you about what are some of the ways that energy is siphoned. I will give examples of how people get energy out of you. Typically, if the taker can get an energetic rise out of you, it it boosts them up, out of your concern, out of your vulnerability, out of your goodness, just or out of your reaction. So if you're giving a reaction to what they're doing, a lot of times the taker will use that energy. And these people know how to manipulate, right? People who siphon energy. Sometimes it's unintentional, but it's very much habitual. There are people who are not able to maintain their own frequency, so they will go to other people to feel good, to feel better, to be heard, and then when they feel good, the taker feels good because they've taken the energy, the goodness, the frequency from the giver, right? So let's call it giver and taker exchange. So energetic siphoning can happen through provocation, provoking someone. And then I will talk about how to recognize that your energy is being siphoned, and then what to do about it. And then how I will talk about how do people siphon other people's energy? Why do people siphon other people's energy? And then what are the short term and then long term consequences of being drained? So if I'm giving away my energy, my goodness, you know my energetic field is not locked up and tied, and I have weak energetic boundaries, and I'm giving away reactivity, my energy with connection, with through love, right? Through So I'm serving the other person, giving them that energy, but then not getting the reciprocation. So it will leave me depleted. So I will talk about short and long term consequences, and then strategies, of course, on how to protect your energy. So let's get into it. If you have any questions, and as questions come up, feel free to drop them here. So siphoning, if you think about it, literally means a tube or a pipe that is used to transfer liquid from one container to the other using atmospheric pressure or gravity, right? That's the dictionary definition of it. And what it means in energy terms is that, so it means to draw off or transfer or take your energy, resources, attention, love, care, nurturance, right? Or just energetic rise out of you. So, in a way that feels like theft, it's one sided. Obviously, energy siphoning is always one sided. Feels like threat, leaves you depleted. And and it also involves behaviors that are disproportionately consume one person and take from one person without giving any, not even breadcrumbs back, no reciprocation. There is no support, reciprocation, love. There's no energetic ping pong in a way, right? So you're giving but you're not getting anything back, and and it's being taken. And a lot of codependents, people who have grown up in difficult families or circumstances, or people who have been oppressed, people who are used to serving, helping, and they give out of goodness of their heart, but what they're giving is really their life force. They're sharing their life force with the takers. So I hope it's clear that this concept of energy siphoning is the act of drawing off of or transferring someone else's energy, leaving them feeling depleted, overwhelmed, drained, or just exhausted, right? Spiritually, mentally. So, energy siphoning usually refers to taking someone's spiritual energy, mental, emotional energy, their love, their caretaking, and it's always unbalanced. It's one sided. It may or may not be intentional, but it definitely has consequences. So, what are some of the ways that people siphon or use up or soak up? Like narcissists do this a lot because they don't have their own life force, they don't have their own energy in them. So, narcissists will oftentimes, you know, get a rise out of other people. So they intentionally, narcissists know how to gaslight, manipulate, kind of crazy make other people so that the other person just running circles in their mind, all the while the narcissist is getting the supply of energy that they need, because they don't have their own, they're not connected to God. So they don't have their own source of supply of energy, love, nurturance, feel good. So they will get that from constant complaining, right? Emotionally dumping on other people, constantly being complaining around them, feeling bad, bringing bad vibes in, just always making it about yourself. So with people who know how to siphon your energy, they make it all about themselves. And so this is upon you, the givers, to know if there's a relative who overshares their emotional turmoil, without considering if you have the capacity to hold space, without considering if your presence is taken for granted. So in energy siphoning, many times people will take it for granted that you have this energy and I'm going to take it from you. There is no consideration given to who you are, what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what you're saying, what you need. So your needs, your wants are totally to the side. You're not even, you're just an entity that has energy, and the narcissist will take until you set boundaries, or I will talk about other things that you can do. So Emotional dumping and constant complaining, bringing their problems, their negativity, their issues to you without worrying about where you are. So almost like forcing you to listen and hold space for their problems. A lot of times narcissists will corner givers, the unconditional givers, the codependents. They will corner them and then bombard them with their problems. This is my issue, this is what happened, this is the negativity. So no matter what the face, no matter how they do it, it's bringing their negative energy to dump on you, and then take your goodness, your caretaking, your love, and take that with you. So it's an energetic exchange in a way, but very much so to harvest your goodness, and then you're left behind depleted and overwhelmed. So feel free to ask me any questions that you might have on energy siphoning. I'm going to continue to explain how it happens and how people do this and what is the impact on your life and health. A lot of people, when they don't know why are they always exhausted? Why am I not able to move forward in my life? Because your energy is not going to helping you. Your energy is being constantly harvested or siphoned to by other people, in listening to their problems, listening to their complaints, listening to the negativity that they carry and bring to the table to you, so that you absorb that energy, and then they soak up your goodness, they soak up your problem solving, they soak up the good energy that you put forward with empathy, for example, right? So a friend who constantly unloads their relationship problems, a friend who constantly shows up as a friend, but they're just dumping on you, right? Without The big thing to look for is without having space or room for you to speak your truth, to for you to say, hey, what are you doing for me? Or is this a balanced exchange of energy? Because for any relationship to be healthy, there has to be an equal exchange of energy. It could be, that's why women now more and more are asking for, hey, are you, to guys, are you going to provide me with finances? Because women typically will bring a lot of goodness, their good energy, love, nurturance, right? That's what they bring to the table in a big way. A man's life totally changes when a nurturing woman enters their life, because she brings with her the love, the nurturance, the compassion, the energy boost. So man's life totally like improves because their frequency goes higher. And when you live in higher frequencies, you attract abundance, money, opportunities. So that's why now more women are waking up and saying, hey, me and what I bring, the energy boost, the frequency, the nurturance that I bring to you, the healing that I bring to you, either you need to pay me back with you know financial security. And I say there is nothing wrong with that, because a man, their capacity to love and nurture, and I'm not saying generalizing it, but for men, their capacity to love and nurture is usually lesser than their instinct to hunt and that those are the things they do: protect, provide. That's what nature has given them. So um and women are the nurturers, right? So we bring the energy of love, compassion, vulnerability, offering you healing your soul, which is so valuable. There's no price tag on it. And in this modern capitalism, people don't have not have tended to not value that element. That's why healing professions are not very highly paid professions. So now women are waking up and saying, hey, if I give you my energy and my healing, what are you providing for me, right? And that's a totally fair question to ask. So don't let other people think that in relationships that you have to be 50. It is 50-50. If you're providing and protecting, I am raising the frequency and providing the love and the nurturance. That's the yin and the yang in a relationship. But this happens in like female friendships, like women groups as well, a lot, that one person will hold space and that person is invisible as who they are, but only visible for what other women can get from that one woman who's the nurturer and the giver, right? So passive aggressive ways. So if you are, a lot of people will tend to provoke you to get a rise out of you, to siphon that and energy off you, right? A coworker who uses sarcasm or silent treatment to so when you are ruminating about this person and managing the silent treatment or managing how poorly they're treating you, or if they're gossiping about you, anytime your energy and your mental, spiritual, emotional energy is tied up in managing their direct or passive aggressive responses towards you, or even their energy towards you, that's a way of harvesting your energy by being gossiping about you, being passive aggressive towards you, being rude to you, just to make you feel less than, so that you do more, or you give them an energetic rise. And that's one way, right? Narcissists will instill fear in people so that they can get a ego boost, right? So I'll talk about what people get out of it, but these are the ways that people siphon energy, both consciously and unconsciously. So passive aggressively, or even aggressively, or putting expectations on you. A lot of times people will put like in relationships, people will put unsaid expectations, or even said expectations, are forcing you and manipulating you to say yes, no matter what your need is. If you're saying, oh, I need to be heard, or can you listen to me, can you my problems or my what I'm feeling is important too, but the other person's glosses over that, and the expectation is that I am the one who should be served, I'm the one who's being, who needs more. So there's an imbalance where there's an expectation from the giver, said or unsaid expectation, to just be giving that nurturance and providing space, and that's, it's exhausting, and I can tell you it leads to burnout. I am a good prime example of that. How much I give energetically, with love, nurturance, with compassion, and it drains you, because in relation, only in relationships where the other person's not filling up your cup in any way. So if your cup is constantly being drained and you are being taken for granted, that is energy siphoning. Energetic siphoning is, and it becomes a pattern in relationships and friendships, where in groups people will show up to take from you without giving a second thought to what am I giving back to her, right? And so waking up to this type of exchange, and maybe putting forth, even if you don't need anything from those friends or people, asking for, hey, can you do this little thing for me, and then wait and watch and see what their response is. If they're closed off, if they're behaving like, oh, this is so much, why is she asking for something in return, if they've taken your energy, your love, your goodness, your healing frequency for granted, that means they were benefiting from your energy siphoning. It was one way, you were giving, they were taking, and now when you're asking for it, there's crickets, or there's retaliation, or there's like, ugh, that's how you were taken advantage of. A lot of drama seeking behavior as well. So people will stir up, when they don't have energy of their own. It's kind of like drinking that caffeinated monster drinks, those energy drinks that people drink to boost themselves up. Why do they do that? So their adrenals can pump the hormones to give them that rise, right? People will fight in traffic or fight in public just to get themselves going, right? Because they're addicted to getting siphoning energy from other people. So they will create drama to try to hurt you, so they can get energy of, oh, look how much she's worried about me, oh, look how she's running after me, oh, look how she had to defend herself. So narcissists will do this a lot, by stirring up drama, stirring up conflicts, gaslighting you, going triangulation, right? Dragging you into unnecessary arguments, right? It's all to get an energetic rise out of you, which is directed towards them. You see, it doesn't, context usually does not matter. It's getting, sympathy rise out of you. It could be getting clinginess, like, oh my goodness, don't abandon me, kind of rise out of you. It's just to get, so you have to watch energy. You have to, I will tell you what to watch for, right? So a friend who stirs up conflicts or a boundary violation, you tell somebody, hey, could you do this for me, or could you not do this, and they purposely don't do it, is to or string you along, to say, oh hey, they're siphoning your energy, because your attention is focused on that, right? So anytime you're focused, or they'll make up sad stories, they'll constantly bombard you with their sad, true or not true, right? They will always say the focus, the attention should be on them, right? That's how people siphon your energy into with attention. They want constant attention from you. What is attention? Attention is energy. So if you're focused on solving their problems, if you're focused, it's almost like they have this feeling of, oh, someone is taking care of me, and they're siphoning your energy this way, by your attention, your goodness, your empathy, your concern. That's a big one. People will create stories. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the chat, okay? Thank you for listening. To those who are here, I'm talking about energy siphoning and how people use your energy to, for their own personal benefit, and leaving you depleted, leaving you without resources. So stirring up drama, creating conflict, making you upset, stonewalling you, gaslighting you, right? All these we know, but these are all, a narcissist does this to get supply. But people who don't have energy of their own, or they cannot hold the frequency of goodness, for example, or healing frequencies, they want someone to care for them. So they will siphon your energy in this way, you know showing up unannounced, or getting mad at you for no reason, and then making you feel bad to get. That's one way other people will siphon your energy, by putting, just accusing you of things that really are not your fault. That's another way. So so like I'm saying, context does not matter as much as what are you having to give, willingly or unwillingly. So the manipulation tactic could just be, a sad story to get sympathy from you, could be just love bombing to get a rise of love and nurturance out of you, could be false promises to get the energy. So they're just trying to draw out your energy. And people who are good, they're connected to the source, so they really have endless energy. But then what happens is that their cups keeps on getting depleted, and they get burnt out. And I will talk about, how you can tell that your energy has been siphoned. Parents will do this to kids, intentionally or unintentionally, and friends will do it in healing space. This happens a lot. Narcissists will come in and they will take, and the minute you set a boundary, they'll be like, you're the worst person, I'm in the retaliation. So one way they get the energy from you is by retaliating, making you feel scared, making you feel fear, making you feel like they will hurt you, right? So when you're feeling fear or anger or shame or guilt, all that is really energy for them. Maybe you're giving it to them with words, maybe you're giving it to them with the rumination of your thoughts, just thinking about them, or fearing them, or dreading them, or in your mind if you're dialoguing on how I'm going to manage this, right? Or another way, very very common way people harvest other people's energy is through excessive neediness. That poor me, give me constant reassurance, tell me everything's going to be okay. So they place the burden of their well-being on you. That's how, if you're always worried about them, you're always consoling them, you're giving them attention, you're giving them time, you're giving them your thoughts, you're giving them reassurance, you're helping them by giving them support, guidance, reassurance, sympathy, right? All these ways um, are other people taking your energy. So think about how you fill your own cup up, because people will drain you as long as you let them. And a good litmus test is to ask for something small and see. A narcissist will go crazy. If someone is just taking, taking, and taking from you, and then you suddenly say, hey, what about me? Can I get this? And they go crazy. They're like, oh, you asked me for this something small. How dare you? Or whatever, right? They say no in a way. So that's how you know that person is a narcissist. But many times people will, good people who take, good people who really do need other person's healing energy or their energy, they will be like, oh yeah, sorry, let me do this for you, let me be also be there for you, right? It's okay to be selfish, right? Human beings are self-centered and selfish. So it's survival too, right? So that's okay. But when you wake them up and you say, hey, what about me? And that's the true litmus test between a narcissist and someone who's just unintentionally just choosing to seek help from you. So it's up to you to decide how to. I'll talk about boundaries in a minute, right? Someone who's always jealous of you, envy, right? A friend who undermines you, someone who you are successful at something, and rather than giving you, hey, their energy in terms of words, hey, congratulations, right? What is that going to do to you? Validate you, give you that boost, but they don't do it, right? Someone who's been taking, taking, taking for you from you, and then you are like, oh, this accomplishment I did, but they're crickets, there's nobody there, right? So you did a lot for them, but when it was your accomplishment, they do this to diminish your light and your energy, the jealousy, the envy, undermining your success, undermining or not celebrating, not being there for your achievements, is to siphon your energy, because now you're like, wait a minute, there is no one here for me, right? So then that puts you in a different loop of, was I used, was I just, so that rumination, the thinking, is a way you're giving away your energy. Especially watch for jealous people, because they are envious people, people who are not there when you're happy, you're successful, people who are not there when you're trying to build something, versus when you're giving and giving and giving and they're taking. But then when you need something, what is the response, right? Then I talked about somebody who needs constant, they need to be in touch with you every day. They're going to text you every day, they're going to email you every day, they need something every day, something is needed, right? So that's constant reassurance, taking care of, guiding them, taking care of their well-being, just showing them that I'm there for you. So if you're constantly having to show somebody that you're there for them, that's energy siphoning relationship usually as well, with no boundary, this boundary. And I'm totally guilty. I used to be somebody who had boundary less empathy, because God has given me, blessed me with so much good energy. I would just share it freely, right? Give it to anybody, everybody who needed it. But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing I'm getting depleted, right? When you're younger, your life force, that energy is really high in you, but it needs to be really safeguarded and not just given away for other people people to abuse, right? It's good to share your love, your goodness, your energy, your care, your attention with people around us, but not at the cost of your own life force. If it's, and I'll tell you how you know that your energy is being siphoned. And then energy vampirism, energetic vampires is a real thing. And it's usually narcissistic people with narcissistic traits. They will show up, dominate conversations, monopolize attention, and it creates an environment where they, you've heard of that expression, people sucking air out of a room, right? They show up with their flash and their attention grabbing tactics with communication, attention grabbing tactics with, they take up the room, they take up the energy, the attention, and there's either they scare other people, or they manipulate them by being this larger than life person, so that everyone's their minion in a way, right? So energy vampirism is someone who dominates or takes your attention, takes your energy, either by scaring you, or just not allowing you to be a person or talk. It's all about them. So whenever it's one-sided and it's all about them, that's when you know that your energy is being siphoned. When it's all about them talking, them dominating the conversation, monopolizing about with their issues, right? So for those of you joining now, let me see if there's any questions. I realized I had flu. The timely message. Thank you. You are so welcome. My energy is getting sucked by helping friends. Yeah, exactly. So when you help other people and at your own expense, and it is not reciprocated, that's when you know that it's one-sided. I feel drained, I'm getting sick, and the other person does not care because they don't have their own supply, and they're siphoning your energy for to, and I'll tell you why people do it. Let's talk about that. Why do people siphon other people's energy? People who engage in this type of behavior, usually intentionally or unintentionally. So, intentionally, narcissists practice behaviors and communication and stonewalling or silent treatment or gaslighting, right? All these different tactics narcissists intentionally practice and get really good at siphoning energies. It's called supply, right? Get supply from codependents or the givers. But unintentionally, a lot of good people will siphon. And why do they do it? Because they have their own unmet needs that they cannot meet by themselves. Either they're lonely, or they're depleted in their creativity, or their spirituality is low. They're not connected to God. So they have no source of that vitality, right? What is energy? It's life force. It's life force, and it's vitality. It's something that like gives you that aura of being, of vitality, of growth, of happiness, just higher frequencies. People who have good energy live in those higher frequencies. And people who are like really, because maybe because of their karma or because of many reasons, some people will live at a lower frequency of low mood, of constant complaining, of negativity. So for the purpose of this video, let's talk about the negative energy. People who are lower frequency, living in negative frequency, they siphon energy from people who live in higher frequencies. So people who do this work of purposely taking other people's energy do it because they have voids, like emotional holes, voids inside of them, and they need constant emotional validation, reassurance, attention to soothe their insecurities. Their insecurity is that they're not secure within themselves because they cannot feed themselves with the creativity, with goodness, right? So they they need to control the situation, so they dominate, they cast influence over other people, so they can control and get the energy from you. So if someone's dominating the narrative, someone's dominating the energy of the room or where you work, right? So usually people will do this, so because they're so insecure within themselves, because they know they don't have it in them, and they really need to go to other people to get the creative energy, to get the good feels, to feel nurtured, cared for, and soothed. Usually people who siphon other people's energy are very, they have a lot of turmoil on the inside. So to feel grounded and soothed and feel like someone is taking care of them, someone is there for them, people will go to siphon the energy, right? And then also when they're getting the nurturance and love energy from someone else, they are able to distract themselves from their own bad feelings, so they forget how bad they feel within them when somebody else is giving them the attention, the love, the healing, the nurturance, the guidance, when someone else is thinking about them. And people will do good or bad things to get you to focus on them, to give them the energy of, oh my goodness, right? Let me do this for you, let me help you, let me. And codependents are trained and conditioned to do that, so we automatically fall into the trap so easily of pitying someone, or feeling fear, like, oh my goodness, if I don't do this for you. So any type of energy, when you are hooked on thinking about someone else, when you're ruminating on how to either get rid of them or to how to get close to them, so they're siphoning your energy, because your energy is not focused on you. Your energy is going to the other person, right? And then, of course, the simple reason why people siphon energy from other people is to boost their own ego, to feel important, to feel needed, to feel worthy. Like, what else does a narcissist want, need, and desire more than anything in this life is to feel important. And how do people feel important? When someone is there, yes, sir, let me take care of you. Let me provide you with this. Let me give you energy. Let me give you healing. Forget about me. Forget about what I need, want, and desire. Forget about anything I ask in this relationship. But are you boost? I'm here to just boost your ego. So if you're doing the work of boosting someone's ego, making them feel good, you are taking on their negativity, the constant complaining. If you're giving them constantly sympathy or a boost or energetic labor, emotional labor, if you're I've seen this so many times that people will boost the other person up constantly, give them the validation, give them the support, give them the love, be like, yes, yes, oh my goodness, you are so good. That's what energy, most commonly, that's the energy siphoning, to boost their ego, to make them feel important and needed. Because usually narcissists don't are not needed by anybody, right? They insert themselves and they love bomb so that you get hooked, and they know what they're doing, right? That's the ultimate energy siphoning that we talk about. In a trauma bond is nothing but taking your energy, taking supply from you, keeping you hooked mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? So when it keeps you hooked, trauma bond, narcissists are so good at this. They will hurt you, then make you feel good, then they will hurt you, make you feel good. So you're just confused in your mind. So your energy of the mind and they get such a ego boost when you're thinking about them, when you're worried about their next action, when you're fearful of them. Oh, they love. That's like a very common way for narcissists to feel that boost by making you fear them, making you uh, think about them, think of ways to communicate with them. It's crazy making, right? So that's how they're siphoning your energy and focus. They're taking your life force when you're constantly when they're constantly keeping you on your toes, when you're hyper vigilant, when you're so focused on them and their next move and what do they need, how are they going to take this. That's trauma bond, right? Trauma bond is the ultimate siphoning of your energy. Of course, they get so unloading. They do this also to unload their anger. Like narcissists are full of anger, and they will dump their that anger and feel. And a lot of sociopaths too, they don't feel anything, so they will hurt you just to feel something. And I've it's really sad, but I've heard patients say that to me, that I don't feel anything, and when I when I get the energetic rise from her, I feel boost. I feel like I'm alive. So and if someone irritated me on the outside, the narcissist come home and then unload that wrath, that anger, or even anger from the traffic. They'll unload on the wife, right? Or on the partner or whoever's around them. And then watch them react. So when you're reacting to the other person, you're giving your almost like your sovereignty, your grounded energy to them, because they are dictating your response. They are dictating and controlling your energy, and that energetic rise is almost celebratory. It makes them so happy, right, to see another person feel what they wanted them to feel. So if someone controls your reaction, and enjoys making you fearful, angry, shameful, guilty, feel bad, any type of way, they make you feel bad so that they can not only have you, chase behind them, but also siphon your energy all along. you know so energetic boost, ego boost is what they get out of it. They get like they're pumping. It's like getting that monster drink in you, that energy, caffeinated boost of energy and feel good, by manipulating and exploiting other people's kindness, by invading other people's boundaries, by negating other people's humanness and what their needs are, just taking from you with and if you ask something, it's an inconvenience. That's how you know that this person is only here for themselves, and they really don't care about you. All they care about is what you can give them in terms of attention, affection, sympathy, guidance, reassurance, validation. And this happens constantly in relationships, especially as a healthcare provider. I see this all the time, like all the time. All right, so exploitation of other people's kindness, exploitation of their service mindedness, that's very common. And then, of course, to feel connected. Narcissists and people who don't feel like they belong anywhere, they don't belong to universe, they don't belong with God, they belong don't so they need someone to make them feel like, oh, I belong. There is somebody who cares about me. There is somebody who is giving me their energy, giving me their life force, right? So they seek that intimacy, that emotional one-sided intimacy, emotional, mental, spiritual, where you're pouring into somebody. When you say, oh, I'm pouring into you, it means you've poured your life force into the other person, and they have siphoned your energy at your expense. Let me see. Great job. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Nick says, you're giving me chills. You're so on point and explaining it so fluidly. I appreciate that. Great job. Thank you, Nicole. It's hard for, yeah, empaths. Oh my goodness. Don't Empaths got taken advantage of and fed off of. You're right. People will feed off of your energy because you have the good feeling that God gave you, and then you feel bad for other people, and then you are there to serve them. And that's what I tell women. There's this whole new movement with like, oh, you got to be 50-50 in romantic relationships. So tell the guy who's asking you to be 50-50 with your money and paying the bills, is that women naturally bring empathy, healing frequency, nurturance, love, care, uh, to them, and that cannot be paid with money. So if the man is protecting and providing, he's doing bare minimum for what women bring to the table, because it's endless nurturance, care. Just we're the givers. Yeah, it's very hard to break up such relationships because it's, you don't see it, but once you see it, once you ask them, hey, what are you going to do for me, and the answer is just like, oh, they walk away, they're closing the eyes, they're not really present, so they don't want to be there for you. Ask them the smallest thing, and that's how you know. And that's when you got to cut it off. That's the only way to protect your goodness. And let me tell you, in romantic relationship, if the guy is bringing food to the table or shelter, that has very small, because women can do that easily compared to what we bring to the table: the empathy, the love, the companionship, the healing frequency. We pick up men from, from the negative despair and bring them up, boost them up. A woman boosts up the guy, and no amount of money is reciprocation for that. So this new trend of, anyway, so let's talk about, yeah, and the emotional intimacy and the emotional security and the stability of somebody caring for you and being there for you. The connection that you provide to those people, that's energy, it's currency. A woman's currency is her energy. And in this capitalistic world that we live in now, especially in United States, it's all about hard money, right? The dollar is the currency, but the dollar does not come near to the healing. Because once a man is in the frequency, when the woman is giving endlessly to him, he can get all the money in the world, because money is a result of how safe, secure, expanded you feel. When a woman brings a man with her love, nurturance, ego boost, right, her energetic boost, when a woman is there to listen, support unconditionally to a man, his frequency becomes that of wealth. And that's how they're able to bring in the money. Money is not the primary in relationship. The Getting the right woman to support you so you can do your job is how it's how it works. All right, so what is the effect on the person whose energy is being siphoned constantly? Of course, emotional exhaustion, feeling overwhelmed. That's why women are not able to build their careers and bring in the money, because they're constantly feeding the family with their energy, with their love, with their concern, with their nurturance, with their connection, with their presence. We're giving so much of us to the man, to the family, to the community, that there's nothing really left to go be that hardcore capitalist, right? If women wanted to, they could, but they put so much on their table that they running after the money becomes second, right? So energy siphoning short term would be like, I feel like when I give to my patients, my clients, my free recovery group, I feel exhausted, like emotionally exhausted, because I don't ask for anything in return, right? So even though I've trained and practiced, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that burnout is real. Like, if you don't get nothing in return, you're emotionally fatigued, you're overwhelmed with heavy emotion, and there is no release for you. Because if you're giving, who is giving to you? How are you filling up your cup? That's why I wrote my book, The Five Self Love Languages, because women, the givers, the men who are givers too, they need to fill up their cup before they pour into others. Or as you're pouring into yourself, I constantly go to the ocean to replenish myself. I constantly ground myself. I constantly set boundaries, even though I'm still working on setting better boundaries, right? So elevated stress level, the days that I've given beyond my capacity, I notice that I overeat. I notice that I need comfort food. I notice that I'm irritable. I notice that I don't have patience with myself or my children, right? So in the short run, these are the immediate effects you will see, that you're constantly, the emotional demands, the emotional burden of doing this constant emotional labor will leave you feel depleted. You will have difficulty for, why do women have this brain fog, difficulty focusing, men like difficulty, ruthlessly going towards their goals? Because they are spiritually, emotionally depleted by giving so much and getting nothing in return. A woman's cup gets filled up quickly when she's surrounded by people who also care about her, not just about what can I get from her and these are my problems, oh can you listen to me, but when somebody is there for her and listens to her and actually is supportive of her, that's when a woman's cup fills up quickly. Because we're people who are naturally, we generate good energy and higher frequencies, and women are, we have the divine in us. But when it is abused, when that divinity in you is abused, is when you will have headaches. I've had, like, recently I've had so many headaches, tension in your body, irritability, low mood or mood swings. When I'm depleted, like after work, when I'm depleted, I feel like I'm in a slump. And it's not because my blood sugar is low, I'm in a slump because I'm energetically, spiritually drained, and I have to take a couple of days off to really revive myself. And then of course, emotional overwhelm and anxiety. Do you know why so many women walk around anxious? Because they have so many energetic, emotional, spiritual demands on them, and there's no boundaries within them. They don't say no, I can't listen to you right now. They watch that up- even if you have a constantly, you have an angry person around you, or you constantly have a critical person around you, if you constantly have somebody who's negative around you, you will be depleted. Because to survive that, you have to give so much of your energy. So if you're around, that's why they say, don't surround yourself with so much negativity, because energy is being dumped on you. You will absorb the negativity, especially if you're not totally caretaking to cleanse your energetic field. So, chronic burnout is another one. Mental health struggles, like I talked about, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, that no one is there for me, having self betrayal behaviors, right? When you're giving, you're betraying yourself and not really asking for energetic exchange. Like, what are you gonna, that's what women need to wake up, especially codependent women, which is most women are codependent. We need to wake up and say, hey, what about me? How are my needs being fulfilled? Yeah, I'm not gonna, you know, fulfill this big roles at home and be there to support you and cherish you and establish connection and family, and then also go fight the capitalistic fight. Let me see if there's any questions. It's hard being empath, and people will feed off that. 100% people will feed off that. I mean, they think it's free for all. So, and then constantly, your identity becomes somebody who is constantly prioritizing other people's needs, constantly giving. And then I'll do a video on what happens when people take you for granted all the time. So that wound gets bigger. Of, like, I definitely have that, of people taking me, my goodness, my energy for granted. So what happens when you're constantly taken for granted and used for what you can provide and not being seen or supported? So I'll do a separate video on that wound, because a lot of mothers also have that, and wives and women in general have that wound of constantly being taken for granted. And then when you constantly give to other people, you lose your own self identity, you lose your vitality, you lose your energy, you lose your years of your life. Your physical health declines. This ongoing stress and depletion, it weakens your immune system. And then chronic pain and chronic illnesses and mental health problems. And then women are not in the workforce, complaints come through, right? Because if someone is constantly offloading their negative energy and their complaints onto you, you're absorbing that energy. Like, where is it going? If you're helping someone feel better, and their negative mood, their low mood gets better, where is that energy going? You're absorbing it, your body is absorbing it. And then you feel dismissed, you feel like you're not worthy, because your pain, your problems, your boundaries, your limits are totally disregarded. Like, oh, what do you need this for me? I'm gonna do something else. So that's when you have to say, okay, I can't do this anymore. You have to wake up and say, you know you're thriving on energetic rise from me. That's why people will create a lot of drama, like I was talking about earlier, or make you fearful or angry or shame you or put some burdens, emotions on you, because that energetic rise, that reactivity is making the narcissist or making the taker feel good. And you will have tension, fatigue, burnout in the short term, and then chronic issues in the long term. Chronic pain, back issues, autoimmune diseases. And if you're soothing with food, I mean, the weight is like, oh my goodness, to soothe myself, I'll eat to soothe myself. But then what is happening is that it is actually, rather than getting rid of that negative energy that I picked up from other people, and soothe yourself with healthy coping is what I'm saying. So what are the strategies to protect your energy? Right, so you have to set clear boundaries. If you're a giver, and you're happily giving, and then you ask for something and there's crickets, then you have to communicate your limits and you have to enforce them consistently. And then what you will see is that, for example, you give so much, and then when it's time to celebrate you or your accomplishment and there's no one, right, they've drained you completely, and they're not filling up your cup by saying, hey, good job or great job, right? So that's when you limit contact, you remove them from your sphere as best you can, and then you practice detachment. Letting go and detachment, boundaries are a woman's best friend or a giver's best friend, right? And avoid taking on other people's problems and emotions as your own. So if someone's suffering, an empath will suffer with them. A codependent will take on their emotions and their problems, right? So you have to, in your mind's eye, separate them, their problems, their issues from yourself. You have to know where this person ends and where do I begin. So there has to be a physical, like for me, I have a physical ritual when I'm done teaching or working or healing other people. I have to physically cleanse myself with salt. I will cleanse my hands, so that, and then I'll cleanse my aura with sage, or I will ground myself in nature. And I will talk more about this, but you have to take care of yourself, otherwise your energy will be depleted. And especially when you're not supported or validated in the environment that you've given so much. If you've given to people for a long time and you're not supported or validated or celebrated, or then you've got to stop. Practice detachment, but get rid of those people. And then practice grounding techniques with breath work. Our breath is the source of vitality, especially with prayer. If you breathe with prayer and you ask for energy from the universe and God, and you're somebody whose energetic field is connected, like if your life supply is connected, like empaths, codependents, the good people, the nice people, God is very, very generous to us. So you have to have that faith that no matter how a person has used or abused you, it all your goodness is going in your karma bank, and God is watching all the good stuff you're doing. And I've noticed in my life so many good things happen because I freely give. The more you freely give, the more comes to you, but never give at the expense of your energy and life force, and never give to people who don't reciprocate. That's one of the main things that women need to look at. Focus on relationships that are balanced and mutually supportive. If you're not getting back what you're putting in, you need to watch that, and then you'll have to trail it off. Don't keep feeding into other people's drama, their problems, their negativity, just to distract yourself from your own issues. A lot of women, especially like codependent women, they're not able to sit with what happened to us in our childhood, right? A lot of people who've gone through trauma, they just become the savior or the service, serving you or helping you. And a lot of times they're so scared to look inward because they don't even know themselves. They don't know what they feel, they don't know what's going on with them. So serving other people or giving to other people to distract yourself from your own pain is burdensome. It will add more and more burden to your plate, and start to decline requests that are overwhelming, that are one-sided. Decline requests that require so much of you, and when you have no energy to, when you have nothing to give, when there's nothing that you will get back from this, right? So by recognizing the signs that your energy is being siphoned, and then recognize this how. So in this video, if you see in the beginning, I talked about how people siphon other people's energy. So know how it's done so that you can protect yourself. The way it's very common for other people to siphon your energy by getting attention, by giving you, this is my constant complaint, by emotional dumping, by passive aggressively just getting you to get reactive and riled up and do stuff for them, right? To help them feel better. Because a lot of times codependents don't feel good until everyone feels good. So that's a trap for women, right? We don't feel good or comfortable, or we can't live until we know everybody else is comfortable and their needs are met. So that's a trap you have to walk out of, so you're not burdened by other people's expectation, and you're not caught in one-sided relationships where you're taken for granted, where your healing is taken for granted, where your energy is. And you know what, one thing you have to watch for: when you give, and then you stop, there is always retaliation, and I'm the victim of that so many times. I give endlessly, and the minute I'm like, okay, well, sorry, I can't set a then the minute you set a boundary, and they're like, wait, no, there's retaliation. So that's the difference between a narcissist and a somewhat healthy person, that when you set a boundary, the healthy person will respect it and sort of, wake up. But a narcissist will retaliate and be like, or get angry, or try to put fear in you, or try to make you feel bad, right? So I think that knowledge has been hidden from women and codependents for so long, because we are conditioned to serve and be the backbone of society, but then they step on that backbone, right? So you've got to like make yourself strong and give with boundary. Boundaryless empathy will always hurt you. Alrighty, so that's my video live for today. I'm so grateful you are listening and present. And thank you to Micheletta, Cynthia, Nicole, and all, for all these great questions. And I hope you will learn from this video and protect yourself. All righty. Thank you to you too. I hope you have a good weekend and a good day. All righty. Bye, guys. Peace.